What's up guys, CJ here, and welcome to my first F1 video. As for my credentials, I drive really fast on the streets. I drove a sim car once at the Puma store in New York City, and I am a F1 obsessive. All jokes aside, I've been watching everyone's 2022 driver lineup predictions, and as the August heat starts to sizzle out, I thought that I would share my thoughts on the 2022 driver lineup, all of which came to me in the shower last night. Okay, first let's get the easy ones out of the way. Mclaren, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Haas, Alpine, all are going to be sticking with the same drivers as last year, so that means Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, Sebastian Vettel, Lance Stroll, Nikita Mazepin, Mick Schumacher, Esteban Ocon, and Fernando Alonso will all be returning to the grid next year, as well as Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, which leaves seats open at Mercedes, Red Bull, AlphaTauri, Williams, and Alfa Romeo. Now I, just like you, have probably seen the other F1 YouTubers' takes on the next year's lineup, and I'd be lying if I said that I didn't take a little bit of inspiration from them. But I tried to give a fresher take and kind of try to shake things up and make a couple, I wouldn't call them sleeper picks, but I'd call it, how do you say? Some shockers. I guess that's the best way you could say it. Now first we're going to answer the biggest question of the summer break, which is who is going to fill the second Mercedes seat next season? And it's got to be George Russell. I mean, this kid has talent by the gallons and gets better and better every weekend. He's milked the shit out of the dreaded Williams car year after year, and he's not going to stop now. While most speculate that he is ready to don the silver arrows, you know, there's still Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton's still there, and he still dictates, you know, the team decisions and pretty much the sport at this point.
You work for the bank. Bank works for me. So, ipso facto, I'm your boss.
I think that this kid is marinated for long enough, and it would be stupid to not let this kid shine. But how he'll fare under the new regulations at Mercedes and how Mercedes will fare with the new regulations is a story for another video. So I'm saying George goes to Mercedes. But as we all know, he has way too much talent to be a number 2 driver. He's shown that he's willing to jump in front of the bullet, even for the likes of Nicholas Latifi. Roll the clip!
If you need to compromise my race, help Nicky do it. I will box early to avoid the undercut for anyone else. Prioritise Nicky.
Thank you, George. That settles the Mercedes situation. Now, it leaves a seat open at Williams, though. So right now, I am going to fill that and also take care of Red Bull and AlphaTauri in the same go. Now, I've read what Helmut Marko has had to say about both Pierre Gasly and Sergio Perez. You know what? Actually, I'm just going to submit the Tomo clip so I don't have to act like I didn't see it already.
We are looking at his progress, and in the next 2 years we will make a decision whether he'll be on the free market or whether we'll take him into Red Bull.
Shout out Tomo. Now I actually don't think Checo's going to last that long with the Bulls, because while he's played Max's puppet pretty well, I don't think that he's doing it up to the standards of Helmut Marko, Christian Horner, and the rest of the Red Bull team. As we all know, they're in a very significant position right now to attempt to dethrone the big bad Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton. With that, you need a very elite driver and a very elite driver who's willing to take the fall and block the shit out of anyone else that's trying to get into Max's way. As we know, Red Bull come to expect the most elite of drivers, and you know, that's always pretty much held true.
Hey everyone, Alex here.
I'm not gonna make that joke. I actually kind of like him. Now, I still believe that Checo is a top 10 driver on the grid, but they have a new and improved Pierre Gasly sitting and waiting at AlphaTauri to get his shot, and I think that it's gonna come. But granted, I still think that Sergio Perez is a top 10 driver on the grid right now. But the problem is that Red Bull have the new and improved Pierre Gasly sitting and waiting at AlphaTauri, and he's easily yielded some of the best results of the midfield and maybe overall this season. I think that signing Checo was the easy way out, and it was also kind of doubling down on the last season of the hybrid era regulations. And I guess it was also kind of to shut up the whole F1 community and everyone, period, I think. And Alvin was on his way out, bless his soul. But instead of talking about it, I decided to make a recreation of the whole situation at the end of the season last year. Oh, what a shame. He's so good. He shouldn't go without signing. But unfortunately, we're all booked. Am I gonna have to do it, or are you gonna? Okay, we'll fucking do it. Regardless, Checo goes and has the race of his life in Bahrain, which everyone saw as his kiss goodbye to the Formula, even though he had one of his best seasons ever. And I think that win made everyone realize that this guy is for real. He's a real contender. The results were always there, but this really solidified it, and especially because everyone knew that Red Bull seat, that second Red Bull seat, is always got some controversy spinning around with it. So, ends met. But given what Marco has said and the vibes this season, I think that Pierre will get promoted back up to the Red Bull seat because he's way too hot of a property, and it would just be wasting talent if we just left him in a junior team going on 26 years old. Not to state the obvious, but Pierre's a Red Bull driver through and through. He's way too hot of a property to stay in a junior team, and everyone knows that Perez is on the move this year. Unless Perez is the reason why Max wins the championship this year, fingers crossed, I really don't see him staying. Like, he's already proven that the results have already been too inconsistent, and he hasn't proved himself to stay, and he's way too high of a caliber of a driver to just be there as Max's bitch. It just doesn't make sense. But as we know, he's most likely going to be out by the time the lights go out at Spa, so sorry. And for Pierre, the Alpine talks are probably done for the moment because, as you know, they extended Esteban, and Fernando's still got a season left there, but he'll probably be out of there after next season. So it could be a viable option for him in the future with a French guy, with a French team. But given the animosity between Esteban and Pierre, I don't really think that it would make sense. I honestly, there's a chance that he could end up at McLaren, but again, that's a theory for another video. So I'm going to predict that Pierre goes up to the Red Bull seat, and I don't think he's going to stay there long. I think that if he goes up, he gets promoted, he's going to stay there for the rest of his contract under Red Bull management, which I believe is a year, or they're just going to sign him to a year contract. He'll finish it out, and then he will be open on 2023 to get into a seat that makes sense for him, and also we'll be able to see which teams are on the up and up, which teams are maybe teetering off with the new regulations. So that leaves us with Valtteri Bottas and Checo Perez. Now, unfortunately, Checo is like in this driver market limbo where he's just signing team to team to make sure he stays in the sport because, once he leaves, he's probably gone. Huh. So this may come as a shock to you, but I actually think that Perez might sign to Williams. Because if Russell goes out, I think that they're going to want to have to pair an elite driver with Nicholas Latifi because, allegedly they're cooking up something good next season. And it would be stupid to start a new era with new investors and a new car and new regulations with a junior driver, a Mercedes junior driver, next to Nicholas Latifi, who I already think is an average driver at best. Now, granted, he did display some racecraft at the Hungaroring, but I mean, what the fuck was that race anyway? Like, who didn't score that race? Oh yeah. But think about it. What would be a better end to the Checo Perez saga than going to the worst team from the hybrid era and then taking them into championship contention? Like, that would be, because if Williams is really about to deliver next year what they've been saying, fuck it. This could be one of the craziest things ever, and of all people, I would be perfectly fine with Checo being that guy to hold up that whatever the fuck he's gonna hold up at the end of the season. Do you get a world championship? Whatever. This guy has been through so much through his career. He's been everywhere. He's never really stuck. He's never really found the results that we all know that he can yield, and he's not a number 2 driver. He's just not. Let's just not get this twisted. Williams is not a junior team. It's more of where the Mercedes junior drivers will get housed, but they're not like AlphaTauri is to Red Bull. It's like they basically have a direct farm system in F1. I mean, obviously, they could call someone that, as we saw in the Sakir Grand Prix, they brought George straight there into Mercedes. I don't really know how the contracts and all the clauses and stuff work. My bad, I should have done the research on that. But I don't really see Williams as, because we saw at Imola, like they were not afraid to bring the fight to Mercedes. Shout out to George Russell and Valtteri Bottas. But I think that next year Red Bull need to get back on track with AlphaTauri and get them back on pace to what they're meant to be, a junior team, because they've been holding Pierre, and it worked. It developed Pierre, and now he's a better driver, and he's a top caliber driver. But it's getting to the point where they're becoming an incubator, and Pierre's getting way too hot, and they need to stop incubating for too long and just, you know, bring them up. So with that said, I think that Liam Lawson is going to get the call up. Don't know, now you know. Toyota Racing Series champion, illustrious junior racing career, actually a long. He was teammates with Yuki and outperformed him a lot. Just so you know, he is a Red Bull Junior driver, currently driving in 2 championships. 2, just want to say 2. He is in the F2 championship alongside of his teammate Yuri Vips, another Red Bull Junior, and he is in the DTM championship alongside of Mr. Alex Albin, who you may be familiar with. As for his DTM career, he won the season opener in Monza, becoming the youngest DTM driver ever to win a race. And he is now currently second in the driver's title. He's contending for the driver's title. And this is really his first experience ever with a 2-door or roofed car. He's driving a Ferrari. I mean, the kid's driving a Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. 2 seats, roof. And he's outperforming Albin. And he literally could win the championship this year. As for his F2 season, I mean, he's had a pretty bad stretch of bad luck. He won in Monaco, but then later has his race taken away from him because of an illegal throttle map. But regardless, he showed a lot of really good racecraft in that race, and he really proved himself. I mean, time and time again in his career, he's shown how much speed, and he's really matured over this last year, especially driving in 2 different championships. I mean, that's crazy. He's literally doing the most, and he's in my eyes, he's the obvious front runner for this seat, hands down. But we may also see a return from Mr. Alex Albin, who hasn't been in a single-seater car in a while. And personally, I feel like that's where he really, that's really where he blossomed. But I think that Liam has way too much momentum building, and he's literally doing the most. He is doing the absolute most that he can. He's driving in the DTM, and he's driving in F2. That is already enough. Like, that's a lot of stuff to do. So it's Liam. Now on to Mr. Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri. Now we all know that Valtteri is a... listen, I'm American. I'm going to butcher it, or I'm going to try to say it as exotic as possible because I don't want to show disrespect. But Valtteri... Valtteri. Fuck it. It's Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri had... Now, we all know that Valtteri is a premium driver, but this year has just not been going his way, and I think it's approaching a tipping point that has kind of been coming for a while, you know, as we've seen in Drive to Survive, and just the general tensions building within the team. I just don't really see him staying.
Traditions.
Now, don't get me wrong, he's a great second fiddle, but personally, I don't understand why you would want to play second fiddle for that long. I don't really think that in F1 there's a really good amount of money. I mean, obviously everyone's got a price tag, but I think it would just be stupid to continuously live in this alternate reality where, oh, maybe next season Lewis will get a unprecedented amount of DNFs and I'll get to win the world title. He was never promised to win the world title, and he knows very well, as much as Mercedes likes to deny that he's not a number 2 driver, he's the number 2 driver. He's always going to be the number 2 driver. Whoever's in there, if Lewis Hamilton is on a team, there will be a number 2 driver. That is a fact. That is a given. We all know that. And we know he's got caliber. We know he's a good driver, but he's won races. He hasn't won a race this year. He's gotten a lot of podiums, but he's also had a couple of DNFs. Like, we know he has pedigree, but I think he really should just cut ties with the Silver Arrows. I mean, Mercedes is not taking this situation lightly. I mean, he's expressed his opinion on how he feels about the situation, but yet he continues to get on his hands and knees for Mercedes and Lewis. Like, I don't understand it, man. I just think it would be dumb to see him resign, and I don't want to see him do it anyway. So, Kimi's out, Valtteri's in. He's going to be the new driver at Alfa Romeo alongside Jesus. I think that Jesus is going to, you know, I think that I don't really think of Antonio really highly. Like, you know, he's all right. He's an F1, so he deserves it. You know, I can't take that away from him. But he's not, like, we don't know. It's an Alfa Romeo he's driving, you know what I mean? Like, what do we know? I think that with Giovinazzi, they're going to give him maybe until next year or the year. I think that he's got one more year left with them because maybe with the new regulations, the team will make a flip. Maybe it's very possible that all of the lower midfield, maybe the lower midfield and lower teams just flip to the top. But that is another theory for another video. Now we know that Valtteri is Mercedes royalty. You know, he started at Williams, I mean, before Mercedes really got involved there, and then went to Mercedes, but he just doesn't get the same hospitality that Lewis gets and the same care that Lewis gets. So with that said, I'm out, or he's out. The sad truth and trend of F1 is that a lot of these really good drivers, like, just because of the fact that it's not a spec series, it's a very unfair playing ground, a lot of these good drivers just end up going out to shitty teams at the peak of their career, and they never really get to shine the way that they should. I mean, granted, Kimi did win his world championships and whatnot. Kubica did have his injury, but they just ended up being guys to lead the way for the new young drivers, which is unfortunate, but I think that Valtteri might end up going out like Kimi does, or is, or will. I don't know. And if he were to return to Williams, it would look like a kid that got held back in school. I mean, he's talked about how he wants to get the respect that he deserves, and I definitely think he deserves respect. I mean, if you allow him to blossom, I think that he could be a great driver. I mean, he is obviously a great driver, but he could really start to yield the results that he's capable of. So like I said, I think he's bound to go out like Kimi, but with the regulation shakeups, I mean, maybe this could prove to be a perfect fit for him. Maybe Alpha will be on the up and up, and he's going to be the priority there. Or, I mean, there really won't be a priority because I feel like they have to let Giovinazzi blossom, and they also have, you know, Valtteri's going to be Valtteri. I mean, he's going to come for Lewis's neck, I can tell you that much. But that's only if Alfa Romeo can get their shit together for 2022 and on. And that's it. Those are my predictions. Pretty wild, but I mean, there's the vanilla way you could go, and then there's the rainbow sherbet way to go. You know what I mean? Like, and it's possible. It's I think I made a good point for all of them. Let me know what you think down in the comments about my predictions and what your predictions are. Go check out my other channels. I started this because over quarantine, I'm going to be honest with you, over quarantine, I just fell in love with F1. I've been studying it, I've been watching it, I've been enjoying it, I'm consuming it, I've been loving it. And, you know, I really just wanted to start, you know, I wanted to make a channel and get myself out there with F1 because I really enjoy it. And yeah, I plan on running all the channels, so go check out CJ Consoli, my gaming channel. I'll link all my channels. I got CJ Consoli, the subsets of those. I got my film channel. Podcast probably coming soon. More content to come. I'm gonna, you know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. That's a wrap, bitch.